I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delighted to be speaking with a very talented author. Her name is Jean Romano, and she has written an amazing story. It's a story of the immigrant experience, a story that you can relate to no matter what country you or your ancestors came from, and we all came from someplace else to settle in this beautiful land. The name of her book is Over the Rhine, an American story. It is a captivating narrative tracing the journey of a German immigrant family in Cincinnati, Ohio, from the late 19th century to the dawn of World War II. The author deftly examines the challenges of assimilation, the evolution of beliefs, and the test of loyalties as generations seek their place in a rapidly changing America. We're delighted to have this wonderfully talented author join us here today on Spotlight. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Jean, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
I am so honored to be here.
Oh, the honor is ours. We're delighted to talk to you. What inspired you to write this book, Over the Rhine, an American story?
We had been New Jersey people, and my husband moved us to Cincinnati so he could become a professor at the University of Cincinnati.
Mhm.
It was a remarkable experience for us, and I fell in love with the city. I also fell in love with a very old house. It was built before the Civil War, and somehow managed to talk him into buying it. And the story is related to that house. And
Gotcha.
it's still standing.
So you were intrigued by this house and you did a little investigation. Tell us about that.
I think the major part of the house, and I had three boys at that point, was the living style because the rooms for household help were more expensive than the rooms for the family.
Mhm.
They had much, much help in that house, but they had many, many things happening there too. One of the things that intrigued me most was the carriage house where the horses had been kept.
Mhm.
It had been remodeled into an apartment that they were renting, the owners. And in it, I found paperwork, and among that paper, the journal of a young woman who had lived in the house and had gone to Europe on her maiden trip abroad, a must for the society lady in Cincinnati. And I adopted Elise in my heart, and her story is part of this book.
Wonderful, wonderful. And one of the aspects of the immigrant experience that you portray in this book is the struggles of maintaining cultural identity while assimilating into American society. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it was hardest for the gentleman who came. He had been working at Krupp, and the reason he left was because he noticed they were producing more armaments and vacuum cleaners, and he saw war coming. But he wanted his children, especially the boys, the girl was not an issue. Excuse me.
Sure. The name of the book, once again, is Over the Rhine. It is an amazing story, and it tells the immigrant experience of a German family settling in the United States. Okay, we'll pick it up from your thought.
I'm so
Go ahead.
sorry.
Sure.
But the boys had to be educated up to Krupp standards. And the public schools were charming, and they also taught in German, so they kept their German. But they had a whole second education with tutors to get them into technology of the times and engineering of the times and mathematics. And the interesting part for the story is that Elise managed to sit in on these and become quite educated herself.
Hmm.
But the cultural differences for women were mirrored in the United States. Women stayed with the KKK, Kirche, Kitchen, and Kinder, children,
Right.
kitchen, and yeah, church.
Yeah. So
So Elise's upbringing didn't start the way many did.
exactly. Now, World War II comes, and that intensifies the challenges faced by the family. Um, it must have been tough for German families, new to America when we were at war with Germany, right?
It was a very hard time. Elise had just visited the family of her husband, who were from Germany too, and convinced them that her brothers should go over to visit. So they did, and Willie came back, the oldest brother. But the youngest one was entranced by his opportunity to join the German Air Force. He wanted to fly. And so when Willie came home, he came home alone. The beginning of World War I marked a tremendous difference in that family and in Cincinnati itself. Uh, German was no longer taught in the schools. Uh, the German newspaper was discontinued. The
Mhm.
German churches were very quiet, and the community did not meet in groups the way they had previously. It was a sad time.
Yeah, a very, very difficult time. How did you get all of this information for your book? Was it interviews? Was it research? Was it writings? Tell us a little bit about the legwork of writing your book.
I can't help myself. I was a history major at Rutgers,
Okay.
and and yes, I did a lot of research. I wanted to see, in specifically how the immigrant experience today, it was mirrored years and years and years ago. And it's funny, but different as Germans and Guatemalans may be, the sameness of the thought process here in America is there.
Yeah, yeah,
There is
absolutely. Yeah.
a feeling that you can't get over.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you are a new immigrant, I mean, I think the Italians and the Irish historically were at each other's throats because one was the newer immigrant, one was the less new immigrant, and one thought they were better because they'd been here a couple of years before, or whatever the case might be. There are struggles to being an immigrant. There is discrimination when you are an immigrant. It's unfortunate, but and some of the people doing the discriminating are immigrants themselves, which is ironic, right?
It's very much so.
Yeah.
But Woodrow Wilson made a famous speech in which he said hyphenated Americans held the hyphen like a dagger at the heart of America.
Mm.
That's pretty strong language.
Yeah.
It was a hard time.
Yeah. Very hard time. But who isn't a hyphenated America? I don't think anybody says they're American. Everybody says I'm Italian American, I'm Irish American, I'm Polish American, I'm German American, I'm Spanish. The list is endless. But I think he did have a point. Get rid of that hyphen, just be an American, and be proud of that fact because you live, in my opinion, in the greatest country in the world. Uh, so, what do you hope readers take away from this book?
I hope they take away that America is one of the greatest countries, or the greatest, because of its diversity, its ability to look at other perspectives, to understand other peoples, and to learn from them so that we become better. I think
Absolutely.
that's the promise of America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're strong because we are diverse. We have the best people from all over the world. They have different strengths and different abilities. And if you're trying to put together a team, in China, they're just putting together a team
Yes.
of Chinese. In Germany, they're only putting together a team of Germans. In America, we're putting together a team of
Yes.
Germans, Chinese, everyone. And it does make our nation great. And I think most people realize that, despite the rhetoric that's blowing out there constantly from a news media that seeks to divide people and gain viewers and strength. I think most people realize that we're strong because of our differences, don't you?
I agree with you 100%, and I'll never miss your show again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, to me, an immigrant story has one meaning to some people and another to another. I was tired of hearing about the poor, downtrodden, poverty stricken immigrants living in squalor and illness. There were some very rich, wealthy immigrants that did a heck of a lot to build our country up. and especially during those two wars with Germany. Their ability to have contacts there through business, their ability to read German newspapers and to follow what was happening gave us information that led to our entering the war and then to being successful. We needed them.
Absolutely. Well, we're delighted that you put down their story in this book. It is called Over the Rhine, an American Story. It is a captivating book tracing the journey of a German immigrant family in Cincinnati, Ohio, from the late 19th century to the dawn of World War II. It is written by Jean Romano, and we have been delighted to have her as a guest today on Spotlight. Jean, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.